Hello to any and all movie nerds and fans out there. Welcome to Film Obsessed, where today we are going to be talking about one of the newest releases in theaters for the film Longlegs. This is a movie that I have been so damn excited for ever since I saw the first trailer and saw the rest of its marketing campaign. The film itself looked so unique and interesting, and I have finally seen it. Did it live up to the hype? We are going to talk about it in this video and discuss my thoughts about that very question. If you are looking forward to seeing it or have seen the film already, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel as we can build this film community that I'm trying to start here on this channel. Without further ado, sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and let's jump right into it. So firstly, I want to start off by giving my small quick review of the movie, and then I will jump into the commentary on it. For the sake of some people out there who haven't seen it yet, I will not be discussing spoilers in this video, especially since I want everyone to see it before watching this video. If you have seen it already, I would appreciate not spoiling too much in the comments unless you provide warning. My review of the movie goes like this. Longlegs is a movie that has one of the best marketing campaigns for a horror film of this decade, and I was eager to see it because of that. This was a movie I really wanted to support, and I'm glad that I did. I can happily, but also unfortunately say that while I love so many parts of this film, it also had areas that left me a little cold. The best way to describe it is that it feels like a much smaller but more personal version of a movie like Zodiac, and that is a good thing. I can tell that the director took heavy inspiration from that movie. From a technical level, it does things differently than most movies do, and that is something that I admire. It has solid directing, unique cinematography and editing, good production, crisp dialogue, and a handful of good actors, including the legend Nicolas Cage himself as the serial killer by the titular name Longlegs, an incredible performance that left me very unsettled. The movie, however, does lose steam on the story as it progresses. It has a good start, decent second act, but a third act that lost me and might lose others who see it. It is a very artsy kind of film that I admire and really like, but maybe got a little too artsy for its own story that fumbles at the end. All in all, it is a film that I think I respect and admire and love for what it did from the technical levels, but on paper from a story perspective, it might have needed another look. So that right there is my review of the film, and now I want to give my commentary on it. As I said already, it is a movie that takes very heavy inspiration in itself to be unique and different with how it was made. It does something different that I have never seen with a movie with regards to the fact that it utilizes a 4:3 aspect ratio based off the look of an old photograph that you would be seen taken by old cameras. It made the film give itself a stylized nature that you don't see often with movies. Like I said, it is a very artsy approach to trying something that, in the case of this movie, really grabbed my attention and kept me focused on the film without getting bored. If it was one of the reasons why it was done that way, then I applaud the direction of Osgood Perkins for taking that route in the editing of the film. And to be clear, it's not in the 4:3 aspect ratio the entire film. It is only for certain moments in the story. You also see this unique creativity in other areas of the movie from a technical perspective. The way the movie is framed from a cinematography perspective to capture still frames of every scene with characters in frame is very well thought out, and also again makes you focus more. There's not too much of a handheld nature to it that you'd see in other movies. The still frame way of framing shots was also a good way to add to the tension of certain scenes, and this film is all filled with tension. This particularly comes off with the way that scenes are directed through the eyes of Osgood Perkins, who I should add is a filmmaker that is new to me, and this is the first film of his that I have seen. He is somebody that clearly pays attention to details and makes sure to direct actors and scenes in a way that will capture the attention of audiences and not feel lazy. It's smart filmmaking, and Longlegs does a pretty good job of it. I also want to give massive props to its production design of utilizing full-on locations in real places. Nothing here feels or looks like it's being shot on a soundstage or a green screen, and this adds to its believability and yet again attention to detail that I love. Everywhere feels real, and by that makes the scenes feel more real in their atmosphere, atmosphere of which I believe is captured to great lengths, with the eerie and ominous music that only amps up the tension without deflating it through the means of something like a jump scare. That is another thing to give Osgood Perkins big props for, as he did not take the approach of acting like a generic horror director who will just throw in a jump scare because he felt like it or the studio told him to do so. I think he understands what it means to create around the genre that he is making the movie for. Horror is not all about making people jump up from a scare, but it is also about setting things up just well enough that it could make someone scared or not want to move in their seat at all. It also sometimes comes down to how you see the characters, and if the characters are interesting enough to follow, so that way when tension does come in, you are feeling a lot more scared than you would usually think you are. Speaking of attention to detail, I mentioned it already, but the dialogue here is very good in the matter of it doesn't come off as being generic dialogue or on the surface to give you everything at once, so that it makes it feel predictable in how you see where the story goes. I also applaud the actors here for really understanding it and executing it very well. You have the four main ones from Blair Underwood, Alicia Witt, Maika Monroe, and then Nicolas Cage, who all do such a great job to sell you on what's going on within the plot. These are not particularly any characters that I might remember 5 years from now, but I can definitely applaud the actors themselves for giving these characters the ability to come off the page in a way where I understand what everybody is going through and I know what they are looking for. Someone like Maika Monroe, I think, sells it well with the situation she is in, trying to solve the case of the murders around Longlegs, and there is a plot point in the story that very much connects in with her and makes the story interesting depending on how you view it. Nicolas Cage as Longlegs is certainly something else. I mean, that was such a good performance that honestly, more than anything, he will be the most memorable part of this movie when you walk out of it. It is no Oscar performance in my personal opinion, but it is one that does its job well for the genre this movie is in about a psychopath serial killer. Sadly though, not everything is sunshine and rainbows within this movie, and this comes down to the story of which I feel is the weakest part of the film. I have a slight nitpick with the pacing given it's an hour and 40 minutes but yet feels 2 hours. Again though, that's a nitpick, but the story is where it is the weakest. While I found that it had a solid first act that pulled me in, it did feel like the second act was where it started to loosen itself up. I thought the second act was still decent, but then the third act came along and I feel like that is when the movie did lose me. There is a change within the story that I can at least say was not predictable, but even with that aside, I don't know if I was particularly a fan of what Oz did here. There is a usage of a certain character in the film, and then a plot device that couples in with that character that I feel like throws the film off balance with what it originally felt like it was going for. They also do something here with Nicolas Cage's Longlegs that I think might not make some people happy when you consider the idea around what a serial killer story is about, at least with regards to many examples of what you might have seen before with the serial killer storyline. If you've seen the movie, you might know what I'm talking about. At the same time, it also felt like the story lost track of what its rules were with regards to some characters, and I think this is an area where it probably would have been best to go back and give the script another look when changing around a few things to make the story a little tighter. There are heavy religious tones within the storyline with regards to connecting to the characters and the serial killer himself, and in some ways I again feel like this was a little misplaced within certain other things that are going on, even though I understand why it was there to begin with. The final thing that I will say on the movie itself is that, like I said at the end of my review, it feels like a very artsy movie that is being made by a passionate director who loves movies, but in the end, the artsy stuff surrounding it might have been the detriment to its own story. It is a film that I absolutely would say is one that people should go out and see and support given everything else surrounding it from the marketing side, because that is where a lot of the bread and butter came from to get in front of people's eyes. Like, even if you take the actual movie aside for 1 second, the marketing campaign for it is what every film should do when they promote their own stuff. Just look at the reception it's been getting online. It was able to get someone like me, and I still feel happy that I got the chance to go out and support it in theaters. With that all being said, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow film nerds, that is where the video is going to end. I am really looking forward to hearing all your thoughts about this movie surrounding it, whether you've seen it or if you haven't. Leave your comments down below about what you have thought about this movie, whether you have seen it or not, and my commentary on it. If you want to see more moving forward from me on this channel with regards to film and you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel if you are new here and turn on that notification bell to be updated for when I upload again. So yeah, that's a wrap, folks. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you all soon for the next video.